Hello, sportsmen. This is the evening of Big Buck Night where we look at a lot of big trophies. But on this half hour, we're going to take a look at deer hunting. Deer hunting with a guy who had some real problems during this past year. One of his problems was that he had to use these deer season and this during ice fishing season. That guy was me. I had a rough deer hunting season, but we're going to show you the highlights of what it's like to be in a blind deer hunting, give you the experience if we can. And we have a great recipe. I want you to stay tuned for this half hour. I'm Fred Trost. It's time for the Practical Sportsman.
I can't shoot because it's standing right past the decoy.
This rain started last evening on November 14th, about dark. Statewide, I guess it was raining all over the state, maybe a little snow in the Upper Peninsula. Kind of hard to believe with the temperature, though. We're here, opening morning, November 15th of firearm deer season. I keep looking around because we hear shots periodically. We're in Clare County. Now, this is a county that has a good number of deer. This area in particular has a lot of deer, a lot of bucks reported right now. But the conditions, you know, I really can't say they're that bad. Very frankly, I've seen a lot of deer move in the rain in the past, and it really doesn't seem to bother the deer all that much. We haven't seen anything yet. We've been sitting here a while. Temperature, 50 degrees. You know, I'm here in the blind with a cast on my leg and a plastic bag on the cast. How I got back to this blind, well, we'll go into that a little bit later. That was an adventure. John Ford had to carry not only the camera and all the gear in, but all of my gear. Oh, it's like having a full-time babysitter with me. But we're looking for, I suppose, a good day. I don't know, when I get a deer, of course, John's going to have to go out and take care of it, right, John?
Yeah, that's right. But I won't mind.
Yeah, it'll be a welcome sight. Now, we're in an area here. There's a two-track road, I don't know, 100 yards or so over there. We drove in this morning and walked back through the woods. We're in an area that it's not really a swamp. This is high grass out there, and I imagine if we see the deer moving through, we won't see necessarily the whole deer. Hopefully the antlers and the top part of it. We have a decoy set up right over here, one of those flambeau deer decoys. It's a doe. We don't know if that'll attract a deer this morning or not, but there's always the chance that it will.
At 9:30 a.m., an 8, maybe 10-point buck showed up.
I'm going to have to shoot it. What do you think? I'm watching it.
That buck trotted off as if it wasn't hit, but how could I have missed that distance?
Here we are at the scene. The biggest buck I've ever seen in the woods and had a crack at came right through here, was walking, and it evidently saw us in the blind when John says, "There it is, wait a second." Well, we waited. You can see the runway right here. You can see that, John? That's, I gotta hop over here. This is where the buck was going. Now, here's what happened. And we're trying to piece this together. We've looked at the tape a number of times. Come on over on this side, John. You can see that I clearly hit this tree right there, and there's the entry, knocked bark off, came out the back side. Now, this is about shoulder height on a deer. And that buck, I know I nicked it. The reason I know I nicked it for sure is right back here, we have hair. But it does look like back hair, and it looks like hair that has been nipped off. I mean, this appears to be cut right off. So all the hair is about exactly the same length, and it looks like it could have been from the back of the deer. In fact, I'm going to put this in my pocket, check it out with the guys at camp. Because, you know, when we look at the videotape, and we don't have a chance to look at it slow motion out here, but you see right over the shoulder of the deer, behind it, a plume, which that would occur when a deer is hit.
but it would also occur when a tree is hit. And we couldn't tell when we looked at the tape whether that tree was hit before or after the deer, whether it was behind it or in front of it. But this certainly is strange. You see, the blind is there. That's about, 50 yards away. The hole in the tree is there. The deer hair is where we're standing. But that could be because it blew from the wind. But this is all very strange to put together. John Ford and I talked a lot about that moment, checking the scope, looking at the tape on a 2-inch black and white monitor in the blind. We had scoured the area anyway, as a good hunter should do, just in case the deer was down, and we didn't see what we thought we saw the way we thought we saw it. I know this doesn't look too graceful, but I'm not hurting myself doing this. Here was the scenario when that deer walked up. I had this bucket, which I normally sit on. I was sitting here, and I had my broken leg cradled on this ankle. And that's when the deer walked up here, so I picked up my rifle, rested it on the edge. Back in the studio, we solved the puzzle. This was a big buck with a wide spread, and it looked like I made a perfect behind-the-shoulder shot. The scope I had on my rifle had a slight focus problem. Not bad, but the focus was soft. Now, there was a tree that I thought was behind the deer. With a soft focus through the scope, plus the excitement, I didn't see that the base of the tree was really in front of that buck. The deer flagged its tail normally and bound off as if it was spooked, but not hit. See, its tail waves back and forth, and that buck didn't run hard. It trotted off, looking back several times. Didn't look like it was hit at all, especially when we compare its reaction to that of another buck we had in our video files. That's exactly how my buck ran off. The tape proves without a doubt that the bullet hit the tree, knocked hair off the buck's back, but otherwise was a clean miss. That buck was spooked, but it wasn't hurt. Oh boy. I'm gonna relive this one. You know, I have moments that I relive over and over again, and this is gonna be one that I will be forced to relive because many of you will remind me of this constantly for years to come. Oh, I was hoping with this broken leg it would be easy. It was a big disappointment, but I'm glad that buck got away unscathed and our hunt continued. We're coming upon the last half hour of the day. This is prime time. I mean, as prime as there is left in the day. The last half hour. Hopefully there'll be some deer activity. Throughout the day, the rain stopped at probably 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning. I had a fantastic chance at a big buck. The shooting tapered off about 11 o'clock, and it's been real quiet throughout the afternoon, but it's been dry. It's been comfortable. We set out a decoy to attract a buck, hopefully, but in the 2 blinds I had hunted from, neither was baited. Due to the adversity of my leg, very frankly, we have moved to another blind on some property here that's next to the Mike Sell Ranch, the Ferentino property. He said he has lots of deer moving through here in the evening, and we're out in a field situation. Really, this is open field all around us, but it's connecting between 2 swamps. He says they move. Well, John set the decoy out there, and that, I'm sure, will attract some deer, especially bucks. But this blind up here is kind of a spacious blind, actually. They had a lazy boy chair in here, an old one, a real old one, but that took up a little too much room, so I'm sitting on my bucket, got my leg up here in the corner on a pile of plastic and some logs. At least it gets us up in the air a little bit. John, of course, is behind me with the camera. Lots of elbow room. It's a nice evening. So we're hoping for some good things, hoping that tonight, the second night of our firearm deer season, old Gimpy will get one. I hope. Well, from this field blind, we saw quite a few deer, 13 does, and one bedded down about 100 yards away. The does are fun to watch because you never know when a buck will appear that's after one of those does. Just before sunset, another one showed up.
It's coming down the road. Can you see it?
Yeah, I got it on the frame.
This deer walked with its head down, characteristic of a buck. It was by itself. It trotted to the south of us, over 100 yards away, and we almost thought we saw antlers.
Where'd he go?
Oh, there he goes. Roll.
I'm rolling.
Because he's right between the trees there.
Yeah, switch sides again. Go on the other side.
Okay.
Oops, you're blocking. Your hood's blocked.
John and I thought we saw antlers, then we didn't, then we did, then we didn't.
It's not a buck, right?
It does look like a buck.
It does?
It is a buck. It's a buck. It's a spike.
It's a spike?
Yep.
Well, let me...
It's a spike, dude. I saw him for sure. Isn't it?
Oh, I can't tell.
It's a spike.
At the last moment, both of us thought we saw legal spikes, although it wasn't until we got this tape back into the studio and froze the frame that we were sure that could have been my buck.
We're waiting here early morning, and there's a rye field all around us. And I'm sitting here, look at this. This is a lazy boy rocker of some type that they have in this blind. It's a real deluxe blind. It has carpeting on the walls, so actually, you can talk a little bit in here to each other, and the sound probably doesn't go out. Now, if I see a deer, or if John sees a deer, it tells me I'm going to swing this recliner sideways so I can sit up on the edge. Now, I have a couple variations here. I can shoot either out this window here or out this window. Now, you can see there's a deer decoy that we have set right out here, facing the opposite direction. So hopefully that might attract a buck. But I'm gonna, if a deer comes in, I'm gonna rest my rifle up against here. By the way, I've switched over here to use my 7mm Magnum. The reason is not so much the gun, but the scope. This is a real good high quality scope that I have on here, in focus. Oh yes, this will work out. But it is a little bit of a handicap with this leg, and I'm getting real tired of it, and I don't know how many more days of deer hunting I can take. But we're gonna stick it out here until I get one dog on it. There's too many deer this year and too many big ones. So I'm gonna sit back here and we'll just keep an eye out and hopefully get something today.
John and I were getting a little dejected. We hadn't seen many deer, but I had missed a couple of really good chances. I thought my luck was all used up, but it wasn't.
You see it? I can't shoot because it's standing right past the decoy. It's looking at the decoy.
It's a buck. Good shot.
It took everything I could to hold that steady. Oh man, and I squeezed the trigger. I thought it would never step out from behind that decoy. Oh, dude, I can't believe it. Oh, the third day of the season. I am shaking harder than. Oh man.
Folks, you've got to excuse this acute case of buck fever. It's the worst I've ever had, but with a broken leg and a string of bad luck behind me, I could hardly believe that I'd get a chance at a big buck like this.
Oh man. Oh.
Careful.
I'm so excited I can hardly stand it. Oh, look at that rack. Oh. I really should calm down, I suppose. Oh man. Oh,
Congratulations.
oh, dude, thank you.
Hey.
Golly. Oh, I don't know how I guess I gotta. Oh, oh man. Oh, look at that. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, a 7-point. This is the biggest buck I ever got in my life. Oh, I can't believe this.
So is it all worth it?
Oh,
I was beginning to wonder this morning whether it was worth it or not. Oh man, I'm shaking. Well, I already put some dental floss on my tag here earlier, back in the blind. Let's see, I gotta punch this out. It's 7 on the 1, 2, 3, 4 on the left, 3 on the right. Let's see, left, 4. Boy, now's the time that you cut yourself, you know? 4 on the left, 3 on the right. Oh.
Whew. How about a smile anyway?
Yeah. There we are.
Well, this buck proves that perseverance pays off, and an extra dose of luck never hurts either.
And there it is, mounted by taxidermist Tim Hayes, the 7-point buck, the biggest of my lifetime. The only thing that clouded the memory of that was my broken leg. I think at the time I was probably wearing this cast right here. Oh, I was in pain. But when we break bones, humans break bones, they're set by a doctor, so the bone is set end on end the way it broke. Now, a bone like that can move and takes a long time to heal, which is why we wear casts for months. But what happens in the wild when animals break their legs? Doug Parr, last year on Big Buck Night, brought me this thigh bone from a buck that he had taken. This is a normal thigh bone from a deer. He said the other thigh bone that came out of the same deer looked like this. It had been broken. Maybe a car accident, something broke that bone some time ago, and it didn't heal end on end like we heal our bones in a cast. It overlapped. And Dr. DeVito, my orthopedic surgeon, said this is the way it happens in the wild. It happens very quickly. A blood clot forms around the broken bone. New bone forms in between, and when there's a lot of surface area between overlapping bones, it can heal very quickly. So that's what happens in the wild when a wild animal breaks its leg, breaks a bone. It overlaps and heals very quickly. An interesting fact about animals in the wild.
Sharon Duca's recipe for apple juice venison was a winner in my book. It did come in as a runner-up in the recipe contest, but I thought it was just excellent. Going to add just a little bit of Cajun spice to some butter that you have in a pan, and then you're going to take your steaks or filet or tenderloin or whatever you have, and that's going to just saute in the butter.
You know, it makes a lot of difference if these are trimmed or not.
You bet.
I have a feeling from Sharon's comments a little bit later that she didn't trim her venison in years past.
Yep. And then just want to wait until the blood starts coming out of this a little bit and then flip it. You don't want to overcook it for sure, because you're going to finish kind of just boiling it a little bit. You're going to add apple juice and some water. Then you're going to let this cook all down. And so it will finish cooking here in the liquid. And once it starts cooking down and starts browning again, add another cup of apple juice.
Well, that will tenderize it for sure.
It sure will. And then some mushrooms and onions. And you can actually taste the apple juice come through in this. Then I'm just going to cover it and let it steam a little bit.
Well, that's what Sharon wanted, that apple juice flavor, because in the past she wasn't too wild about the flavor of venison.
I got tired of tasting the tallowy taste that you have with venison. So I thought, well, maybe the apple juice would kind of disguise it or whatever, and then the Cajun spice is one of my favorites. So
Have you tried other things instead of apple juice when you were doing this experimentation?
no, that was the first try.
First one?
Uh-huh.
Huh, so you're pretty darn pleased with it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go with the venison apple juice because it is hard to get venison that tender without either chopping it or doing something to it first. And I think the apple juice actually tenderized it, you know, like a vinegar would. That's my vote.
That's her vote, and she cooks on the show 52 weeks a year. Well, I can tell you how to get a copy of that recipe. It's in our new Practical Sportsman magazine. Tell you how to get a copy of that in just a moment. But, you know, when you're outdoors, you have an accident, especially if you break a bone, please go to a doctor, get a cast like this, follow their instructions. I know it takes a long time, but you don't want your bone to overlap and heal like this. Oh, it might heal faster, but that's certainly not a better way to do it. Be practical outdoors, be safe outdoors, enjoy yourself, and stay tuned. We have more to tell you about this show and how you can keep us on the air.
Studio segments for this show were videotaped at the Practical Sportsman Museum in Bath, Michigan, where you can see that unusual broken thigh bone from Doug Parr's buck, along with many of the things you see here on the Practical Sportsman. Now, some stations are running this program after Big Buck Night. Some ran it before the 1-hour Big Buck special, but no matter which way you're seeing it, please don't touch your dial. Public TV needs your help, and so do I. So stay tuned, please.
The cover of this magazine is this is the original painting right here from David Bowman from St. Clair Shores. $150 pledge. You will become a member of the Federation, a subscriber to the Practical Sportsman, and get a limited edition print, 16 by 20, of this painting called Harvest Vigil. It's in the same situation up in Presque Isle County from the same hill that Midnight Vigil was painted on 5 years ago. But these deer are looking down during bow season. There's a couple bucks on the buck pole. This is the same farmhouse. The other painting was a horizontal painting. This one's a vertical one. There's even a little mouse down here in the rocks. A lot of details that David Bowman has put in here. Gotten to be just an excellent wildlife artist from Michigan. $150 pledge. This comes signed and numbered by Dave Bowman.